Login accepted.
Okay, awesome. So, welcome to week 2 of the CCDC Summer Bootcamp, and we're going to be talking about business today. So, most people are probably going to be like, what does business have to do with cyber? But the business aspect of cyber is actually really important for the competition and for real life. So we are here on Business Week in the schedule, and next week is networking. And here's a reminder that we also have a fall session for CCDC, which is going to help you get ready for tryouts specifically. And summer is for the overall CCDC competition. So I am Meva Sorna Chandra Balaji. This is my Discord if you ever need to reach out. I'm a third year CS major and cyber minor. And I was an alternate member for CCDC last year, and I'll be a member this year. I'm also Swift's Alumni Relations Coordinator, and I'm a Yapper. So today we're going to be talking about why business is important, what injects are, what fortifications are, and we're going to be doing a very fun activity at the end. So make sure you pay attention and take a lot of notes. So why do we have business in a cybersecurity competition? So business is really important because cybersecurity is a function of business and we exist so that the business is protected. So the business isn't protected if we don't exist and we don't exist if there's no business. So the business needs us to protect sensitive data and have less of a chance of any data breaches happening. And for their reputation being ruined because of that, they also need to be in compliance with any regulations from the government. So here's a score breakdown for CCDC. Orange team is 20% of the score. So orange team is where you have customers with questions for you about your services or anything that's usually cyber related in general. So you're going to have to respond to them promptly and in a professional manner. And next we have business index, which is 40% of the score. And this is what we're going to be mostly going over later. Index are tasks that you're given through the competition that you have to complete in a set amount of time. And usually they're in email format. So an example of an inject would be like either like a C-level executive asking you why we're paying for a product, or your manager saying like, research this for me. The next score is services. So you're going to be hosting services and you're going to have to make sure that they don't go down and they have to be accessible by anyone who needs to access them. There's also something called an SLA, which stands for service level agreement. And if your service is down for more than 15 minutes, they're going to take away more points than they're going to give for services being up. An example of a service is like a website that needs to be accessible and any functionality that needs to be working is working. So for example, like a payment platform. And as a side note, sometimes we have to like balance things and make sure that we have like as high of a score as possible sometimes. So we need to sacrifice some of Orange Team stuff so that we can make sure our services and business index scores are fine. So some of you might have heard of the fundamental principles of cybersecurity. Um, Most people call it the CIA triad. Some people call it the AIC triad to differentiate from the Central Intelligence Agency. But CIA stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And this triad will definitely pop up in your cybersecurity career because it is integral to business. Um, so to go a bit more into this, businesses don't usually invest in us because it makes them money, but because it could save them from a huge loss in the future. And these CIA principles will help put that loss in categories. So the first category I'm going to talk about is confidentiality. So confidentiality is ensuring that the only people who are supposed to access something can access it. And if you don't ensure that, it could cause damage to the business. So for example, if the business has a lot of customers' personal info, then has a data breach, then the business's reputation is damaged. And another example is a pharma company is, for example, making a new medicine and they want their competitive advantage to be there. But then the exact formula for the medicine gets leaked and then the business loses its competitive advantage. The last principle is integrity. Oh, sorry. The next principle is integrity, and it means loss of business critical information. So it's kind of just like, is your data correct? And is your data like not being manipulated maliciously or like accidentally? So an example of this is like a fired employee still has access to a bank server and decides to delete a bunch of loan information. So obviously that will hurt the integrity of the business. The last one is availability. So if something happens that messes with the availability of a service, businesses lose a lot of money. So like for example, if Amazon's website goes down, users won't be able to buy things and Amazon is at a loss. The risk of an interruption to business is why we are hired. So as a result, we also have an obligation to support the business. So making sure there is no risk of interruption to business means that we are supporting the business. So in CCDC, you have to keep services up during the competition, but you also have to address tasks like written business injects, spoken or presented business presentations, or phone calls where a customer needs help with changing a password or wants to know how your company network is set up. So for business injects, they're not just write-ups like research, but like sometimes they're going to either make you do research on like, for example, like different VPN options or like find misconfigurations or search through logs for something like unauthorized access. So you have to be able to understand what they're asking for and be able to explain it to people with different technical levels. So an example would be like you explaining it to someone who is in a CEO level, which would be less technical, or like your manager level, which would be like more technical. And by doing that, you convince the CEO level that you are someone that they should be spending money on. Um, so if you're the main person who's doing injects, you're gonna need to do a lot of coordination with your team to get tasks done for the injects because you don't want to be wasting time because you will have a limited time to write these. And you kind of have to know like what everyone on the team is doing at a given time so that you know like, oh, this person has a little bit more time to do the inject. This person is like completely busy. I can't ask them. Um, So now we're going to talk a bit more about what injects are. So an inject is a business task that you have a certain amount of time to complete. Usually it ranges around to like the whole competition time versus like an hour or two. It can literally be anything from IT support, compliance, or security. Like for example, you're going to get a hypothetical email with tasks to complete from someone higher up. Um, so an example of that is like your manager asks you to write a report recommending a cloud solution for the company after researching three different ones. So then you would write the report and you would email it back to them. So this is the secret sauce to writing good injects. You need to be thorough. So you need to read the fine print in the inject. Like make sure you read every single word of the inject because a lot of the details can be hidden in it. And there's some very specific things that they're going to be asking of you. So for example, if they ask you like, hey, we want you to install an intrusion detection system, an IDS, compare three different ones, choose the best one, and also install it on an environment. If you don't complete all those four steps, you're going to be losing some points. It is also a good idea to reread the prompt um, at least like 2 times if you have time so that you don't miss anything. And make sure that your submission that you submit to them is easy to read. If not, it is hard to grade and also like annoying. So you're going to be losing points on that. Um, And for providing supporting evidence, if you can provide screenshots, that would be awesome, so that you can like convince the judges that you actually did the tasks that they asked you to do. So this is an example of an inject that we got years ago. Um, the company's name is Swiss Bank Exchange. So they're like, hello team, I hope that as you were taking inventory of our assets that you were making notes of what software was being removed and what ports were being closed. If you have not done so already, I would like your team to perform an audit of any unnecessary software and services that are running on our systems. If you have already done this, good, please double check again. The report your team shall provide as part of this audit will be a list of unnecessary software and services that were found as well as what ports were closed. These should be broken down by the hosts that they were discovered to be running on. No doubt that you will find plenty. This is to aid in our investigation of a prior team who's running these systems. So as we read this, we see that first they want an inventory of any software that was removed and what ports were closed. Um, so for example, like during the competition before you got this inject, if you ended up deleting something, like for example, a random game that should not be on a server, you should make sure to like mention that here. So they also want an audit of any unnecessary software and services that are running on the system. And they tell you exactly what format they want it in, so you should follow that format in the inject that you submit. And also, it's really helpful to take notes as you read the inject so that you don't have to read through all like the confusing words again. You know exactly what you need to deliver to them. Also take notes on what you have done because sometimes during the competition you have to go and like do something else and then you have to give your inject task to someone else. So we don't want them to be like starting all over again. So make sure that you take notes on what you have done. So another thing you need to do is use professional language. So they're going to be taking points away if you don't. So when you address the recipient, don't use any colloquial language. Be very, very professional. Take into account who your audience is. So address them correctly with the right title. And as I said, like before, depending on who you're writing the inject for, it's going to be like more technical, less technical, um, like super, super formal or like less formal. Um, so if you don't understand something, like they like throw in a term that you don't really know what it is, you research it, you're just like, I don't know what's going on. Make sure to ask someone in your team because you guess and then it's wrong. Like you're gonna be using points for that inject, so make sure you ask for help. So in an inject, for example, like from your boss, um, you're trying to convince them that your solution is the best solution. Like for example, with like the IDS example that I was talking about earlier, if they want you to compare three different ones and choose the best one, you need to make sure that you are citing your sources so that your inject is credible. And also make sure that you compare pricing, resource usage, and also take into account if you already have an IDS in place. And depending on the inject, either you say, oh, like this IDS is already good, we don't need to change it, or like we should change it for like reason A, reason B, reason C. And like again, make sure that you read the prompt carefully so that you understand exactly what the task is. So also with providing supporting evidence, make sure that you give background about the issue. Um, so again, the IDS example, like an example of background would be what would happen if we didn't have an IDS? Like, would there be fines if we didn't have an IDS? Would we not be compliant with government regulations? Like stuff like that. How much does it cost? And make sure that you find this information from a credible source. And if you can't like find the exact information, even an estimate is good. So then you explain why you chose that solution compared to other ones. And also, who is going to implement your solution? So you need to show that like you can, as a company, implement the solutions. And if they ask you specifically to implement the solution, make sure that you have screenshots of how you implemented it as proof. So kind of what I was like talking about before, examples of supporting evidence is screenshots, logs, examples of config or scripts that were run. And make sure that you always make your inject organized. So when you have evidence, you should categorize it. A lot of the times we'll do host and OS categorization. Oh wait, I forgot to add. A lot of the time we do host and OS categorization for like an inventory inject. So takeaways from our past experience. Organization is key, as I was talking about before. Also, everyone has to contribute. One person cannot be doing all of the injects because there's a lot of work to do. Um, and make sure to read the prompt because you could miss a lot of very important details. And also make sure to ask a team member for help if you need it because you don't want to be losing points. So there's going to be presentations during the actual competition, maybe during tryouts. We haven't figured that out yet. But you should know how to do a presentation by now, I hope. So most of this should be review. And I'm kind of just going to skim through these slides so you can like read through them later. So now we are going to do a very, very fun activity. So good news, you are hired. But the bad news is you may not want to be hired right now. So imagine you're working for this company called MindMend. So MindMend has an AI is an AI therapy startup, and it has an AI assistant called Athena, which is a hotline for those who are seeking help with their mental health. It is made up of a database and a web interface, and it also has a backup database. And here is our amazing logo. So imagine it's 4:30 a.m. You are sleeping peacefully because you just had a long day of work yesterday and you're getting some much needed sleep. However, at 4:30, you get an alert and you wake up and you're just like, not right now. But the scenario is you are part of the insanely talented AI security team for MindMend, and the AI, Athena's database was poorly secured and a threat actor gained access to it. They changed the database contents, poisoning Athena. So Athena is now saying some not so kind things that could lead to negative outcomes for people who are trying to get mental help. So your objective is a one-page report. You have 30 minutes to write the report. And this is going to be a technical report on what caused this for your manager who is rushing into the office. So basically, in your technical report, some things you should have are a basic summary of what happened in this scenario, why it happened, some fixes that can be implemented to fix this, and what the company can do in the future to prevent this. Make sure that you give your manager all of the info that they need to know so that they can interact with IT people who are going to be trying to fix this later. And if details about the situation that you need aren't on this slide, you have creative freedom to make up some of details. Make sure that you have your inject submitted in 30 minutes to the link at the bottom of the slide. And it's okay if your inject isn't perfect, just write whatever you can. Don't use AI because we can't use it during the competition, so it'd be helpful for you if you start practicing that right now. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna also send this link in the Zoom, but I'll let you know when I start the 30-minute timer. Okay, 30 minutes starts right now. You have until 1:55 p.m. to submit this. We will also be going around the room asking you if you need any help. Okay, so hopefully you have submitted your report. It is 1:55. Um, who wants to share their report with us? Oh, sorry, Zoom. Alexander, do you want to unmute and share your report with us?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to screen share?
No, just like say it out loud. Sorry, I didn't specify.
Oh, like read it out?
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of long. Is that okay? It's one page though.
It's one page?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay.
All right. So, um, I first wanted to, since it's a manager, I specified at the top it's meant to John Doe, who's the technical AI security manager at MindMend. I listed the date and I said context. At approximately 4:50 a.m., the AI security team responded to an alert regarding a breach in one of the database servers on the Screen Subnet network. After analyzing the host IPS logs, intrusion prevention system logs, from all the database servers, it was found that database server Athena 001 with IP address
Hey, Alexander,
192.168.
would you
Yep.
be able to speak a tiny bit louder? It's a bit hard to hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? All right. All right. Let's see. Do you want me to restart?
Yes, please.
Okay. Context. At approximately 4:50 a.m., the AI security team responded to alert regarding a breach in one of the database servers on the Screen Subnet network. After analyzing the host intrusion prevention system logs, from all database servers, it was found that database server Athena 001 with IP address 192.168.1.100 had been accessed by an unknown intruder. The security team quickly transferred the device to a quarantine network and promptly kicked all inbound access to the server. The vulnerability was discovered and subsequently patched at 4:59 a.m. As the backup database server was not infected and had been configured to be a passive server in the event of the active server, Athena 01, had been compromised, operations continued almost immediately after the containment of the compromised server, and the malicious data would not be found by users, promptly preventing any user from coming across negative comments. Athena 01 was then cleaned off any possible negative comments, and data was later reinstalled into the Screen Subnet network at 5:15 a.m. And then I have a quick diagram of what the network looked like during the breach. Vulnerability. Athena 001, a Windows 2008 server, was found to have been running on SMB v1, a protocol vulnerable to the Eternal Blue exploit. The attacker sent a decompressed package to the server, leading to a buffer overflow and giving the attacker complete access to the server. The attacker then spent approximately 14 minutes inputting malicious comments and responses into Athena's database, which, with such changes alerting the security team due to the file integrity monitoring system. Fix. Athena 001, as well as the backup server Athena 002, were promptly updated with the latest security patches offered by Microsoft, and SMBv1 was disabled on both servers. Oh, I'll share the diagram on Discord. Hold on.
Uh, what did you say? Sorry.
Oh, someone said that they wanted to see the diagram on Discord.
Um, okay. Do you have a closing?
I meant that to be the fix. Like the fix was, here's how here was what we fixed in the problem, updating this latest security patches and disabling SMBv1.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for sharing. Does anyone else want to share their report? Only constructive criticism will be given. Don't worry. Okay, I guess it's time to randomly call on one person. Um, let's see. Who is my victim today? Janice LaChan, can you please read your report out to us?
Um, Mine isn't as technical, I fear, but let me pull it up. Um, so I said like, Dear Manager, due to a vulnerability within Athena's database, threat actors have successfully intercepted and altered the contents. This violates the confidentiality and integrity of Athena's AI. While there is no downtime and the assistant appears to promptly respond to users, no issue. The responses are not to MindMend's standards. After investigations, it appears Athena's database has a backdoor attack that poisoned the dataset Athena was trained on, resulting in Athena's modified responses to the clients. To mitigate this issue, we are urgently working on rolling back the database to one of our backups. This is a temporary solution. However, we must prioritize our clients and ensure Athena refrains from sending any more responses that may jeopardize clients' health. The team is working quick to secure Athena's database. There is an expected 30 minutes of downtime as we lock down the ports to prevent any further and unauthorized users from tampering with the data. Additionally, our team is looking for any further damage outside of the database, though it appears that the machine learning is the sole target for the attack. Once you successfully check and remove the backdoor, Athena's data will be reverted to its original dataset. Sincerely, the AI security team.
Thank you, Janice. That was a really good report. So some things I liked about your guys' reports that shared is that the amount of detail in the first one was pretty good. The only thing is that I feel like there was a bit too much at some parts. Um, like for example, I don't really think the for like exactly 14 minutes part was needed in that, but everything else was pretty good. I liked that the first person had a diagram in there because it is good to have visuals. Um, the second person used aspects of the CIA triad. That was interesting. Um, Also talked about prioritizing clients, and that's very, very important. So that is very good. Also, they talked about how much time would be needed to get back online again. So that was also pretty good. Does anyone have questions with this one? Are we good to move on? Okay. So it is now 8:30 a.m. Your CEO wakes up and finds out that Athena is down. She's very, very angry. She wants to know why you should keep your jobs if you can't even prevent this from happening. So, your objective is a one-page report to the CEO. You have 30 minutes again, and you should be explaining and justifying why your team should not be replaced. So, for this report, it's going to be more business oriented. You should be focusing on numbers and statistics and why your job in the AI security team is important, why it's still important to have a security team, why this one incident shouldn't keep your CEO from making security a focus at the company. And also, this is a very, very real problem that happens in the cybersecurity world because, as I was talking about before, cyber doesn't really usually help a company make money unless they're like a cybersecurity company. But it's to help them from losing money later. So you're gonna have to like tell them why you are necessary. So make sure that you have your inject submitted in 30 minutes. I think this link also doesn't work. So wait, Luke, could you thank you. Luke will be putting the link in Discord, and I think, yeah, we have it in the Zoom already. So your inject will be due at 2:36. Let us know if you have any questions. Oh, yes.
focus more on like numbers and statistics, but like where would we get that from if we're just like basing it off of this?
So a lot of it is creative freedom. So like based on like what happened, you have like background from the past slide, right? So you can kind of just like use that, like research it, see if you can find any statistics that would help you. Like for example, like one would be like I guess a statistic on like how having a cybersecurity team has affected a company in very broad terms, if that makes any sense. Like why it's good. Like something bad that's happened and a statistic on why having a team cybersecurity team would be better for a company than not having one would be an example. Does that make sense?
So for like these injects, is there like a lot of flexibility, meaning that like there's no right way to approach it. You can phrase it in many different ways.
Yeah, just as long as like it's professional and you're not writing it in like a very technical way. Yeah. I don't know if this is the right word to use, but I guess like dumb it down a bit because like they don't have like the technical knowledge that you have. And you're trying to explain this to them. Does that make sense? Okay, great. You have a question? Right now, there is no link to the slides because some of the answers are on the next one. Um, but do you need a specific slide?
Yeah.
Do you mean like with the scenario and whatever? Oh, could someone put that in the Discord if possible?
Yeah. Oh,
Does anyone else have any other questions? Oh, on Zoom. Can we use facts searched on Google? Yes. Okay, I'm going to be pushing the submission date since we had, I mean, the submission deadline since we had questions. It will be due at 2:38.
This stuff considered our homework?
Are you asking if the index are considered your homework? These ones?
Yes.
These index are technically for this session, but you can also expand on them on the homework, and you're going to have one more for the homework.
Yeah, just the reason why I asked is because I saw that there was like a rubric, like a general rubric breaking down what was considered points and the percentages and such. And I didn't know that there was like in Zoom session work. And I was wondering if that was for points as well.
So actually, for this year, CCDC, we're not grading homework, but we encourage you to submit it so that you can practice skills that are necessary for cyber and for tryouts. And we'll be giving you feedback if you submit. So only in the fall homework counts for tryouts.
Okay. Sorry, I was just confused about that.
Oh, no, no worries. Thank you for asking. Okay, so it is 2:38. Hopefully you were able to submit. Now, who wants to share their report with us? Constructive criticism. You will only get better. Molly in chat. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay,
Molly.
yeah. Can I volunteer?
Yes, please. That would be awesome.
Okay. Just like mine is really long for some reason, so it might take a minute.
That's okay.
Okay. Hello, Miss Tran. After a dangerous threat actor compromised our Athena database, the AI security team found it in the best interest of MindMend and the 1.1 million customers we support to take Athena offline. Of our customers, more than 500,000 utilize Athena daily, rendering the support and maintenance of the bot crucial to customer trust and their own mental health. If exposed to the hostile comments of Athena, we could lose a legacy of customer trust. Our team was able to remediate the threat in under 30 minutes, and we will only continue to work towards tighter security. If the protocols and safety measures implemented by the AI security team are no longer supported, MindMan will be vulnerable to future destructive intrusions. These could contain leakage of sensitive customer information, chats, and documentation that would be detrimental to business proceedings. Please remember that this trust is crucial to continue the current rise of our paid memberships. As an AI startup, it is crucial for MindMan's security team to stay active, supported, and vigilant. To further explain the importance of security teams, in May 2025, the Belk department store suffered a significant data breach executed by ransomware group Dragon Force. This threat actor infiltrated their database and leaked sensitive customer information, including social security numbers. The attackers claimed Belk ignored ransom demands, which forced them to reveal the breach publicly. Belk faced multiple lawsuits and over 56 gigabytes of sensitive data was released. This incident caused the termination of over 300 employees and significantly spoiled Belk's reputation and customer trust. If Belk's security team had implemented stronger protocols, they could have significantly reduced or even prevented this impact. The AI security team of MindMeld is adamant that security protocols are essential for business proceedings, and we hope you understand the repercussions of lacking systems. Especially for a mental health organization, it can be extremely dangerous if customer data and chat history is compromised. If the managerial and security team work together, we can prevent scandals like Belk's from being replicated in MindMeld's business model. Thank you for your understanding. And that's it.
That was a really good report. Thank you, Molly. Who else wants to share your report with us? Anyone in the room? I can like see people trying not to make eye contact with me. Like, don't pick me, made that not me. Yes. Oh wait, let me give you. Sorry. Let me give you the mic.
I can speak now. Thank you. I don't want to do this. All right, dear CEO, I'm writing to address the recent breach of Athena's database and to reaffirm the ongoing necessity of our cybersecurity team to the organization. Our team has worked around the clock to secure affected database and immediately activated our incident response plan to contain the breach and assess the extent of damage. It is important to recognize that cybersecurity landscape is evolving rapidly. In 2024 quarter two alone, cyber attacks increased by 30% compared to the previous year, and 70% of these incidents resulted in significant business disruptions. The health industry in particular is facing unprecedented risk in 2023. Over 133 million records were compromised, and 59% of organizations across all sectors experienced ransomware attacks. Given this context, the breach we experienced was not the result of negligence, but rather a consequence of increasingly sophisticated and systematic threats. Our team members are victims of these evolving tactics, just as dedicated as ever to learn from the incident and strengthening our defense. To address current and future risk, I recommend further investment in advanced cybersecurity infrastructure such as AI-powered threat detection, or rapid response technologies. These measures will enable us to identify and neutralize threats more effectively, minimizing potential impacts. We are committed to continuous improvement and transparency and have begun updating our processes based on lessons learned from this breach. In summary, I believe that our expertise and proactive mindset are still essential as threats will become more complex. Thank you for your consideration.
That's good. That's good. There you go.
What's your name? I didn't get it.
Jay.
Jay. Thank you, Jay. That was a good report. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I really liked about these two people's reports. So for the first person, I love how you named the CEO. Nice creative freedom there. You talked about customer trust. That is very important. You talked about how long it took to remediate the threat. You also talked about why it would be bad to not have your team and like have them be fired. It's definitely very good. You also gave an example of a data breach that happened that was also recent to highlight why it would be bad to fire your team. Also very good. You used numbers to explain, which is also what I was looking for. For the second person, you used recent statistics. Very good. You explained what the team did and what it's doing now. Also very good. You also explained what you can and will do in the future. Also very good. Both of you had a greeting and a closing. So that is awesome. Thank you guys for sharing. So don't worry, there's no more injects for today. But I just wanted to go over the differences between addressing your manager for the inject versus addressing anyone in the C-suite. So it's really important to make sure that you put yourself in the person that you're addressing's shoes, and you need to try to figure out what kind of information they would want to hear and tailor your inject to them. So for example, for the manager, we gave a technical rundown, gave them immediately actionable steps, and it would be good to give suggestions for alternative solutions. Any technical sources you could find and actionable takeaways from the incident that happened so that it won't happen again. For the C-suite, it would be good to have an estimated time to get systems back online because they're probably going to be like, when is my business going to be okay again? Also explaining why this task is difficult in layman's terms. So making sure that someone with not as much technical experience as you can be able to understand your inject that you're writing to them. Also justify why having the same security team is worth it so you don't lose your job. Explain the team's reputation, why you were hired at all. Okay, so the homework for this week, it is due next Saturday at 5 a.m. It's going to be to submit the injects you worked on today, and I would recommend editing the injects after what you've learned from any feedback I've given before you submit it. And there's going to be one more inject. So try not to spend too much time on the new inject because during the competition, you're not going to have unlimited time to just like keep working on the inject. So it'd be a good idea for you to get in the practice to just maybe like maximum an hour or two, don't go longer than that. For these injects, make sure to be concise and professional, and you should put your inject responses in separate PDFs and zip them, turn them in on Canvas. But if you are not a CBP student, you can either DM me, Nat, or Sarah. I think we also have our Discords in the Discord announcement for turning in stuff. Okay. So also, if you have any questions about the homework, make sure to like collaborate with people on the Discord. Like ask them if you need help, and also you can also ask us. Just make sure that you don't copy off of each other. That's the only thing you should not do. Um, Also, I know that a lot of people may feel like the business side that we just did is a bit tedious and boring, but like don't worry because the rest of the boot camp is a lot more technical work. And you're probably gonna find those a lot more interesting than this one. But make sure to keep what you learned today in mind because it's gonna be really helpful for real life and for the competition. And because from now on, like everything you submit should be professional. And also these business skills will help you in the real world. So now Nat will be showing you a live demo of something called Remote Desktop Protocol, just for you guys to see how it works.
So this is for this week's homework, this inject that you'll be writing, just in case you don't know what RDP looks like. So you're going to open up the remote desktop connection and you can search for that and it should show up. Then in the computer, you can put in the IP address that you want to connect to. So in the pods, or you're not going to need to do this for the homework. This is just a nice to know. But for what we have, our IP address is the following. Then you can click on Show Options, add the username. So in this case, it's administrator. Connect. And it should prompt you for a password. Then you can click yes. And it shows this on my screen that you're now connected into the device.
Thank you, Nat, for that demo. So hopefully today you all learned more about what is expected from you as a CCDC member on the business side. I hope that it wasn't too crazy of a session. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, good question. Where would the slide be posted?
Where will the slides be posted?
Yes, because I'm gonna want to refer back to it.
So the slides are going to be posted on the website, which Natalie put in the chat.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Mhm. So, which, yeah. So the demo was just to show you what RDP is, and you don't need to do that on the homework. Any other questions? Okay, well, I'm going to wrap up this meeting. Thank you so much for coming to this meeting. I hope I will see you next week. Natalie will be talking about networking.